What is up? Hopefully, you guys can hear and see me. And Gibbo's being stuck up. What else is new? So, yeah, give me a thumbs up, a like, if you can let me know about the sound check. Hopefully, it's coming in all right. Yeah, okay, awesome. So, what we're going to go over, and we're going to play the episodes. I'm going to play the episodes of Convicting a Murderer, but I'll kind of go over what the heck this is all about. What are we discussing? So, just for all of you who know me through the Delphi Murders case, there's so many things that are similar, so many parallels, and I think we're going to be talking a lot about kind of psychology and kind of what forms kind of tribal stuff and why do people believe what they believe. And a big part of it is kind of the bias from documentaries or news media outlets. I think it's pretty interesting, and we saw a lot of that, and we still do see a lot of it with Delphi. And it's not the only case that does that. If you guys know about West Memphis 3, there's some bias there in those documentaries, and just kind of interesting. So this does a really good job about this Convicting a Murderer, about shedding light on what was left out and what kind of making a murderer wanted you to believe, and the people behind it, the people who made the documentary, and what was their motive and what was the story they were trying to tell. So as we play it, you're going to see a lot of similar things to Delphi, and feel free to leave chat messages, comments, and say, oh, yep, I see that in Delphi. So this is one of 10. Plan on doing this hopefully weekly. A big thing for me is having to be careful with this, playing someone else's content. I've never really did that before, so I have to make the video a certain size. It can't be too large. I have to show that it's a analysis. So we'll give it a shot. Hopefully it doesn't kick me off or anything like that. If so, we'll hop back on and we'll problem solve here. Okay, so let me go over just a few things. So yeah, Making a Murderer, this came out December 2015, and it came out, yeah, I guess December 18th. So it was right around Christmas time. So a lot of people watched this, and yeah, just again, if whoever's watched it, maybe they could let us know in the chat, the original. And I remember my dad actually watched this. He told me about it when I saw him at Christmas. And then I watched it, and it's just like, what is going on? Is this police department corrupt? Um, are they framing this guy? And I just kind of left it as I was watching, like, there's more to this story. Like, how, if it was the way that the documentaries made you believe, then like, how this guy get convicted? So I always wondered what was left out. And so I started looking at case files as well about this case. This was a long time ago, and realized, like, yeah, this documentary, Making a Murder, they left a lot of stuff out. So this Convicting a Murderer, they as you'll see, there's a person who's working on a documentary for years and years and years, and then DailyWire picked it up and produced it, and they go through all the things that Making a Murderer left out. And again, we'll see parallels between this and through the Delphi Murders. All right, if you've seen either of these or both of these, let me know in chat. And then if you guys do want me to start doing more content, maybe being a business consultant, I figured I might as well have a PayPal to start collecting funds for things like the live streaming service and the equipment. So it's up to you. I have business consulting that I do, but if you guys want more videos, I do have to start a PayPal to start paying for some of these things. Okay, so the Convicting a Murder, it is hard to access. So you could either get it on DailyWire, Plus, or it's now on Amazon. So I think you have to pay $2.99 per episode. So I have all the episodes, downloaded them all so we could go one at a time, and I'll try and show as much of them as I can. Now, I will have to be annoying a little bit and keep stopping it and commenting on what's going on and my thoughts just to make it available for you. But in the description, there is where you could download it on Amazon and also through DailyWire. And does have Candace Owens, but this is not political, has nothing to do with politics, and I hate discussing politics. So we'll stay away from all the political talk. And Candace Owens, she does a good job. She doesn't talk about politics. So if that's a trigger for anyone, don't worry. I don't want to discuss politics here. All right, so let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can play this, and we'll go from there. December 2000.
Hello?
This is a collect call from an inmate at the Calumet County Jail. To accept this call, dial 5 now.
The lady from New York called. Her name is Laura. The way she talks, she's trying to make a film or something, I don't know. She wanted to know if you got her letter. She wants to interview you.
Yeah, I guess she's going to move here for a while.
Yeah, I know. In Manitowoc. Maybe she's going to put you on TV.
Oh, yeah, because she's going to cover this all the way through the trial.
Yeah, because she said when she was out here before, she talked to the Halbach side and everything. She'd like to talk to your side and interview people and stuff.
Yeah, they're talking about the documentarian, the person who's putting together the Making a Murderer documentary.
I'm glad she's going to do this.
Yeah.
This is the intro. Yeah, it's a good show. It so much reminds me of Delphi, and we'll see that. But I would definitely say download it from Amazon, DailyWire Plus. That way you can watch them without someone interrupting like me. Is the volume coming through okay on the video?
When you were little, you were kids, teenagers, in another life, what did you want to do?
I think in the broadest sense, I wanted to help people. I wanted to give back to society.
Netflix's Making a Murderer. Well, I would say that it began with the ambitions of one woman, and I also think it's fair to say that it began with her emotions as well.
Very shortly after Steven was charged in November, a lawyer who was not particularly happy, I think, being a lawyer, and was pursuing film at Columbia University in New York, was riding the subway, and as you do on the subway, you read a newspaper, right?
She said she saw you was on the front page of the New York Times paper.
No.
Yeah. So it was way out there in New York.
Here she finds a a few column inches devoted to the story of an exoneree released 2 years earlier and then rearrested and charged with murder.
Okay, so I know how to hop in. Source light having it, never mind. So the story of Steven Avery, and they'll get into it, but he was wrongfully convicted. That was when was he wrongfully convicted? Let me look through my notes, but he stayed like 18 years in prison, and then some DNA evidence exonerated him. Then he came out, and within 2 years is when he committed the murder that they're going to discuss. So he was wrongfully convicted the first time. So I think that builds a lot to the behavior from kind of the fan clubs that we see.
She is reading those few inches, and she says, I'm going to Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and that's going to be my first movie, my first film.
I could have a broader reach if I went into the arts and possibly use art for good. And so it's not surprising to me at all that this was the first project I chose to do out of law school.
And I told her, you're innocent. She said there's a lot of people saying you are and some ain't, but yeah, I heard both. But I think more and more are going to think you're innocent, especially if the more publicity gets out.
Yeah.
Maybe she's going to be your big break.
10 years later.
Now to a hot trend taking over TV. That Netflix series,
Making a Murderer, explores the strange legal odyssey of Steven Avery, who in 2007...
Making a Murderer definitely made a wave the second it was released. Everyone was mentioning it. I remember hearing some coworkers down the hall talking about it and running over. Are you talking about Making a Murderer? I watched that too.
when Making a Murder came out, they did promos for it for weeks before it released on December 18th of 2015. And it looked so good. It was such a great trailer. And of course, being local, I couldn't wait to watch it.
You could definitely make the argument that Netflix built their entire empire around this one little town. It's just crazy.
Again, in chat, let me know if you've watched the original Making a Murderer.
When Netflix released Making a Murderer, it was a docuseries, and instantly it was a hit. I mean, tens of millions of people all around the world were watching it, every minute of it.
A friend of mine called me up the day it was released. He had binged it. And he's like, you have to watch this.
I would decide, okay, I'll watch the next one. Okay, just one more.
I was supposed to go to a party that night. I never made it there. I sat and watched the whole thing.
I was blown away at this story, this amazing, compelling story, and the extremely impactful way it was presented.
I think a lot of what contributed to its popularity was the platform. It was the holidays, everybody was off work. So what do? You binge a Netflix show. And Making a Murderer was what Netflix was promoting at that exact time.
My Facebook wall is nothing but my own face. Dan O'Donnell, Netflix star. I'm in the thing for like 2 seconds.
I only watched it after my Twitter feed started blowing up. Ding, 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 ding. It just wouldn't stop. Obviously, I wasn't prepared for the big explosion and the marriage proposals and people writing songs about me and the interview requests from Australia. And either I'm horrible or I'm great or the media didn't do its job. You're part of the reason he was convicted. And I was just like, oh, good God, you just need to step back. And
yeah, see, we got to start naming people like the Delphi equivalence people. Maybe this is the Susan Hendricks here. We'll see which one Deb is. The good researcher.
Take a deep breath.
Here they come.
I started watching and you get hooked right away.
After 18 years.
Steven Avery is released from prison after being wrongfully convicted.
Free.
Served 18 years in prison for a crime. Turns out somebody else committed it.
I'm just glad it's over with.
Oh, you see his walk, we're already going to get conspiracy theorists going to say, look at that gait that he just had. He's a bridge guy. Because he's short, too. But hopefully no one says that.
Period.
How you doing? Oh, hello. How are you?
pretty good. How did it feel? It was wonderful.
For 43-year-old Steven Avery, this is how it ends.
In the opening scenes of Making a Murderer, you actually can't help but to feel bad meeting Steven Avery. Here you have a guy who's leaving prison after having been wrongly convicted, and he's seeing his friends, he's seeing his family, he's holding a baby. This is really his homecoming, and you feel this relief, and you feel sad for him. You feel sad that this could have happened via the justice system, and you get this sense that he's really here to start his life over. This is a new beginning.
Oh, rich guy.
He became a very popular figure in this state.
Oh, God, I love you, baby.
He was seen as something of a folk hero. I don't know. He had the long beard. He's, this warm, friendly guy that you'd give a hug to, and he was railroaded by the justice system.
The wrongful
conviction of Steven Avery in the 1985 sexual assault reminded me how a lot of reform needs to happen. I wanted to be entertained, but I was kind of really gripped by the story.
Steven Avery, the first I ever heard of him was his exoneration in 2003,
like
but prior to that, he was wrongly accused of assaulting a woman on a beach in Two Rivers.
In the summer of 1985, a 36-year-old Manitowoc woman identified Avery as the man who beat her and sexually assaulted her while she was jogging along the Lake Michigan shoreline.
Here, this is for you, Mustang.
She was attacked,
Just start your channel, $10
dragged
off.
off into a wooded area on the sand dunes, assaulted.
A jury convicted then 33-year-old Steven Avery. Throughout the trial, Avery maintained his innocence. At his sentencing, he said, "I wish they'd catch the guy, whoever did it, because I didn't do it, honest to God." DNA evidence proved that statement true 18 years later. Steven Avery became a free man.
Gregory Allen was the actual assailant.
See? Look at
I'm
that
just
last
glad,
name.
they got the
So
guy
many
who did it.
parallels.
Poor guy finally gets out and he seems so genuine. He forgives.
Okay, let's see if we caught something real quick. I know I've been yapping a lot, but notice when he was innocent and he was in prison, he wasn't committing to a crime that he didn't commit. He wasn't saying he was guilty. He was saying he was innocent. Now, that doesn't mean that all people who are actually guilty of a crime will never say that they're innocent, but we're just taking notes here. This is just something to observe, that there is an innocent person and they didn't say that they were guilty. They claim they're innocent the whole time.
The person who identified him wrongfully.
Chuck and Earl Avery are Steve's brothers.
We knew he was innocent from day one.
The pair says it's been hard dealing with the pain of seeing their brother behind bars and missing out on his wife and 5 children.
I'd rather have my wife back and my kids and my family. That was the most important thing in my life.
They took everything away from him that he had all these years.
Avery's attorneys say those hardships are worth $36 million.
My belief is I think it was purposeful that they went out and got Avery.
In his pending lawsuit, Avery claims the Manitowoc County DA and sheriff violated his constitutional rights, ignoring evidence pointing to the real attacker.
They knew about Allen. I mean, he was on their radar.
He's suing Manitowoc.
It's constitutional rights. You'll hear every defense lawyer say that in the Koberger. So it's standard.
County. He would have received a pretty hefty sum of money. And to the Avery family, that would have been wonderful. It would have meant some very good things for that family economically.
He lives in a trailer nearby with his new girlfriend.
Avery seems like a happy guy. He's out of prison now, he's free, and he has this massive lawsuit that's pending.
Everything was pointing up for him. He was with a woman he loved who loved him.
His sister lives next door with her children. His parents live on the Avery salvage yard. They're just a very tight-knit, close family, and he has a new lease on life.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Calumet County Sheriff says the disappearance of Teresa Halbach remains a mystery tonight.
I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, wow, this is crazy. This is not the kind of thing that happens up here. You know, it's a pretty quiet area.
One of the main reasons this mall is being sold has to do with what you can see here, empty hallways.
I had worked there just about 10
out of
months
prison.
when
This
Teresa
is a
Halbach
victim.
was reported missing.
Are you painting over to the storefront?
This was my first reporting job. I was the new kid on the street.
Today's below zero temperatures are keeping...
It's freezing cold, 40 below wind chills. I'm doing stories out on the lake about it being frozen.
This was Sam Pinkham's 9th polar bear plunge.
Obviously, I wasn't getting a lot of the plum assignments.
Gotta do it.
There wasn't a lot of stuff going on there. And then, you know, the whole thing blew up.
No worries, get some sleep.
CBS 5's Olga Haliburta tells us this missing persons case involves a strange twist.
I don't know if I'm a suspect, I don't know.
The more senior reporter, she and another photographer said, "You're never gonna believe where this woman went." And they said, "Steven Avery's." And I said, "What?"
She's a freelance photographer and was working for the Auto Trader magazine Monday, taking pictures of used cars up for sale.
You saw her leave?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
She took a picture, she writes down the serial number. She collects the money. Then.
So I think, okay, if you think about some of the people who think Rick Allen is innocent, right? Think of that crowd, kind of their behavior. This is just a guess. I'm guessing that pretty much all of them have watched Making a Murderer, because you see so many things that are taken from there. So in this, they know he's pretty much a murderer, and he does this TV interview, right? So they're thinking, then let's fast forward years later, because this came out 2015. So in 2017, just 2 years later, they see Ron Logan getting interviewed. So they're like, oh, he's a killer. That's what killers do, right? So it's their brains just try to connect dots when we don't need to connect dots all the time.
She goes to her car and turns around and leaves. She wasn't there no more than 5 minutes.
The Two Rivers man was wrongly convicted of sexual assault in 1985, but exonerated with DNA evidence in 2003.
Now, 2 years later, he again finds himself tied to a police investigation.
I said, this guy's got some bad luck. I'm like, this is crazy.
I remember it being a shock, a statewide shock, that this guy who just months earlier was this hero was the prime suspect in the disappearance and likely murder of a young woman.
Here in St. John at Teresa Halbach's home, friends are gathering, dispatching teams to search for her wherever they can.
On the 5th, I was assigned to go out with the volunteer searchers.
Maybe hit D2 and D3.
Okay.
So there's a lot.
Her friends were trying to form search
Yeah, be
parties,
nice, please.
you know,
Thank
just
you.
combing the area.
My brother and I came out for ourselves to kind of get in my sister's mind, where we think she would have driven after she made her last stop. We'll see if we can come up with a vehicle. Hopefully that vehicle will give us some clues. Hopefully it'll lead us to.
And I'm sure, so I don't unfollow the Making a Murderer, the crazies too much in this, how many people or who is on what side and what they're saying. But just from our Delphi experience, I'm probably guessing that the people who see the brother and like, oh, the brother is involved, right? And he absolutely isn't, but that's just what people do.
My sister.
You cover enough of these stories, you know that if somebody's gone for a certain amount of time and the family says it's uncharacteristic, you know that more than likely the person has died or something bad has happened. And it just was so sad because I remember I said,
Sounds like your sister's really a really well-liked, nice person.
Yeah, she was very outgoing. She had a lot of friends in a lot of different groups.
my heart just kind of sank because I was like, oh my God, he's referring to her in the past tense. So they know she's gone.
Hi, this is Pam.
Right. And like, how would the brother know it's past tense? He must have killed her. I'm sure there's people who said that. But again, he did not.
Sherm, I'm on the search for Teresa Halbach, and we found a RAV4.
Later that morning, the searchers found the RAV4 on the property, and that changed everything.
Teresa Halbach's cousin shows up on the Avery salvage yard.
This car is found by a woman in less than 30 minutes on a lot that has, 4,000 cars, I believe.
She makes a beeline to the car, directly from the entrance, to the car that's parked on a ridge and behind, some half-assed attempt to camouflage it amongst foliage.
Is there any license plates on it?
No plates on it, but it's a little covered up. It's weird. It's covered up.
And then when she called it in, the glee in her voice.
Where are you?
No, you gotta tell me if this is the car.
When Pam found the RAV, she acted like she won a game show.
Okay, stop. I can't tell you anything. Where are you?
I'm at Avery Salvage.
Looking at it now, do you think you got lucky?
Yeah, well, not lucky. God showed us the way, I do believe that.
Well, it was God. We know that. Anybody who watches the movie knows that's how they found the car. That's what Pam said.
So there were really several pieces of evidence that Making a Murderer chose to focus on, one being the key to Teresa's car and how it was discovered. And then there was this...
We'll get to that. But no, if you believe he was framed, when I watched it for the first time, that is definitely what the documentary is pointing to, that he was framed. So that's totally valid. Judy, I just wonder if you've watched the Convicting a Murderer yet.
Unsealed vial of Steven Avery's blood, which caused a huge uproar. And of course, the $36 million lawsuit that was hanging over Manitowoc County.
They search Avery's trailer right off the bat.
Before anybody even knows whether this young woman has been hurt or killed, the focus is on Steven Avery.
Same day that they find the RAV, get a search warrant like yesterday. 3 days later, they find the key.
They found Teresa Halbach's key in Steven Avery's room.
7 searches of that little trailer and that little bedroom, and they find the key sitting in plain sight.
On that date, I was searching with Lieutenant Link and Sergeant Colburn.
When you have the key discovered by them, it starts to be like, wait a minute, what is their involvement?
The fact that Manitowoc people were involved at all.
Lenk and Colburn were being deposed on Steven's $36 million lawsuit. And now suddenly you're going to let them on the property and start observing searches and conducting their own?
The two that were deposed stay quiet as mice. Don't tell the lead investigators. I was just deposed 2 weeks ago. Now I'll search his trailer.
This guy, he's definitely someone, he'd be at Team Richard Allen. He's the equivalent to someone who's Team Richard Allen. He's very emotional, but yeah, we'll see lots of him throughout the series. Avery was a bad guy from the start. Burglary, burned a cat alive, put a gun. Yep. Candace.
I'll do it. I'll shake something out of there.
This key managed to come out that back corner, walk around the side, and lay like that. Right?
And suddenly, they're all over the place finding all this key evidence when they shouldn't have even been involved in the first place. It stunk.
Lieutenant Link, who finds the magic key 4 months later, is back at that scene on March 1st. And what's found the next day? The magic bullet.
I believe that Teresa Halbach is the source of the DNA of
that
the bullet.
Magic bullet. So even some of the terminology, I'm telling you, all the Richard Allen fans watch this, Making a Murderer, and they use the same terms. It's pretty funny.
What I find to be the craziest thing is that Avery, a man who's about to hit the jackpot, is going to turn around now and murder somebody and jeopardize all that.
I remember every episode that we would watch, I would look at my husband and just be like, oh my gosh, what is freaking going on here?
I was really interested in finding out how they were going to show me that this grand conspiracy took place. And I was just waiting for them to just unfold this mystery.
Okay, thank you. You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Were you looking at these plates when you called them in?
No, sir. Colburn calling in to check on the license plate. That came across as suspicious to me.
People who watch Making a Murderer seem to have the same unanswered questions. Why was Colburn calling him a license plate to the victim's vehicle when it wasn't found until 2 days later? Why were Manitowoc officers involved when there was a $36 million pending lawsuit against them? I think most viewers were just shocked and they couldn't believe what they perceived to be a tremendous injustice. It was just unbelievable.
I got struck.
While watching the film, There were so many moments where you're just shaking your head saying, is this real? And certainly the blood vial was one of them.
Well, yeah, I took the video portion down. What's going on? Let me check.